Hello and welcome back. In this session, we're going to talk about Salesforce Dashboards. First, we're going to talk about Dashboard 101, so what is a dashboard? We'll look at the View Dashboard as, we'll talk about the components, and then we'll also talk about filters. But first of all, what is a dashboard? Well, a dashboard is a visual representation of reports that helps users quickly understand metrics. The key part here is that they are a visual representation of reports, and you have a couple of options when you create them. You could choose the grid size, the dashboard theme, and the dashboard palette. But now let's head into Salesforce and let's take a closer look. So here we are in Salesforce, and we're just going to go to dashboards, and we're just going to create a new dashboard. For the name of this dashboard, we're going to call it Salesforce Certified. We can then choose where we want the dashboard to sit, so where we want to save it, whether that's private dashboards, public dashboards, or whichever dashboard you want. And you can give the dashboard a description. We're just going to hit create. Now, before we start adding components, I want to show you the properties of the dashboard. So if we click the gear icon here, you can see that we have what we had earlier on, which is the name of the dashboard, the description, and the folder that the dashboard lives in. But we also have the view dashboard as, and this is really important because it impacts data visibility. First, we have me, which means dashboard viewers see data in the dashboard according to the creator's access to data. Then we have another person, which means that the dashboard viewers see data in the dashboard according to the data access level of whomever you specify. This could result in salespeople seeing the same data as the CEO if the CEO was set as the specified person. Thirdly, we have the dashboard viewer, and this means that dashboard viewers will see the data as themselves according to their own data access. These types of dashboards are called dynamic dashboards, and there is a limit on dynamic dashboards depending on your Salesforce edition. We also have the option to let dashboard viewers choose whom they view the dashboard as. Next, we have the grid size. We have either 12 columns or 9 columns. I'm going to leave it as 12 columns. And then we can choose the dashboard theme between light or dark. Then we can choose the palette, so the colors that we're going to see for our components. And we're just going to choose water. And we can hit save. So now let's talk about components. To add a component, we just hit the add component button, and then we need to choose the report. So if we go to all reports, for example, we'll see all of our reports. Now in our org, we've only got 2 reports. So I'm just going to select the associate report and I'll hit select. Then we need to choose how we display this component. And we have a few options. So let's walk through them one by one. We have bar charts and column charts, and they're best used when only one grouping needs to be used. We have stacked bar charts and stacked column charts, and again, these are best when we have more than one grouping. We then have line charts, which can be used to show changes over a period of time, and these are best used to show changes over a period of time. We then have donut charts, which show the value and percentage, if applicable, per grouping plus the total in the center. Then we have the metrics, which just displays a single value. We can use a gauge to compare the total of a grouping to a stage metric, and we can use funnel charts to display the proportion of a grouping. We also have scatter charts, which show information using 1 or 2 groups of report data plus summaries, and then we have the table component, which just shows rows of data in a table format. Each of these can be customized when you add them. So you could choose what goes on the x-axis, you could choose what goes here, you could choose basically anything that you want. So these dashboard components can be really powerful. You've got a few more options here as well. So you could choose decimal places, the sort by, you could choose the maximum groups to be displayed, the title, subtitle, footer, and again, you can change the component theme itself as well. And if you add, you can then add them to your dashboard. You can drag and move them around when you have multiple components, and you can also resize them as well. So as you can see, these can be pretty powerful. So next, let's talk about dashboard filters. And these work in a very similar way to how filters work in reports. So I'm not going to go through them in too much detail, but as you can see, you can set them up however you want to set them up. So that's a very quick overview of dashboards. But the big part that I want you to know, and the big part I want you to focus on, is really about these dashboard components. Just make sure you know the best use case for each one. So before we finish off, let's just cover what we've seen in the last few minutes. We've talked about viewing the dashboard as, and we know that that impacts data visibility. When it's set as me, you see the same data access as the dashboard creator. When it's set as another person, you see the data access level of whomever you specify, so you need to be careful with that because people may see data that they shouldn't see. You can set it as dashboard viewer, and this allows the user to see the data as themselves, and that means that their own access levels are enforced. When you use the dashboard viewer option, it becomes a dynamic dashboard, and there is a limit to the number of dynamic dashboards that you can have in your org. We know that you add components to dashboards and they just give it more of a visual representation. So we know we have bar charts, which can be either vertical or horizontal, so they could be column charts as well, and they're best used when only one grouping needs to be used. These can also be stacked, and they're best used when there's more than one grouping. Line charts can be used to show the changes over a period of time. We then have donut charts, which show the value and percentage, if applicable, per grouping plus the total in the center. Metric components just display a single metric. Gauge components compare the total of groupings as a static metric. Funnel charts and components display the proportion of grouping, and scatter charts show information using one or two groups of report data plus summaries. And then tables just display rows of data in a table format. And also remember, you can apply dashboard filters.